Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
The story of creation, as found in the book of Genesis, is one of the oldest and most profound narratives ever told. Across cultures and civilizations, the tale of the origins of the world has been a subject of immense spiritual, philosophical, and theological reflection. However, one of the most unique and often overlooked interpretations of Genesis comes from Ethiopia, a land rich in history, culture, and religious tradition. Nestled in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia has long been a beacon of Christianity, and its deep engagement with biblical texts, particularly Genesis, has shaped its own understanding of the world's creation. For centuries, Ethiopian scholars, theologians, and historians have sought to understand and interpret the divine story of creation in ways that are distinctly their own, drawing not only from Christian doctrine but also from the rich tapestry of African spirituality, indigenous beliefs, and ancient knowledge. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, one of the oldest Christian traditions in the world, has maintained a unique understanding of the Bible that intertwines with its cultural identity. This is not just a historical curiosity, but a testament to the resilience and depth of Ethiopian thought. In this article, we will journey through the fascinating Ethiopian interpretations of Genesis, exploring how they view the creation of the world, humanity, and their place in the cosmos. The Ethiopian approach to Genesis is deeply rooted in their understanding of the Kebra Nagast, a 14th-century Ethiopian text that chronicles the history of the Solomonic dynasty and the Ark of the Covenant, which Ethiopian tradition holds was brought to their land by Menelik I, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. The Kebra Nagast, alongside the ancient biblical texts preserved in Ethiopia, serves as a key guide in understanding how Ethiopians interpret the creation narrative. For them, the story of creation is not merely a theological lesson. It is an existential and spiritual exploration of the relationship between the Creator, the cosmos, and humankind. At the heart of the Ethiopian interpretation is the belief in a God who is both immanent and transcendent, a concept that resonates deeply within the Ethiopian Orthodox Christian tradition. In contrast to some Western interpretations of Genesis, which often emphasize a strict separation between the Creator and creation, Ethiopian thought tends to see a more fluid and intimate connection between God and the world. This perspective is reflected in the Ethiopian understanding of God's actions during the creation of the world. The divine act of creation is not a distant, singular event, but an ongoing process that continues to unfold through time. Creation, for Ethiopians, is seen as a dynamic, living act, a divine unfolding that is eternally present. In the Ethiopian Genesis, the opening words, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," carry with them not just the weight of divine command, but an invitation into a relationship with the Creator. The concept of the Logos, the divine word or reason, plays a central role in Ethiopian theology, particularly in their interpretation of the creation story. According to Ethiopian thought, the Logos was present at the beginning of time, guiding and shaping creation with wisdom. This is an understanding deeply rooted in the Ethiopian Church's Christological teachings, where Christ is seen not merely as a figure born at a particular moment in history, but as the eternal Logos, through whom all things were made. The narrative of the 6 days of creation, as depicted in Genesis, also takes on a special significance in Ethiopia. Here, the days of creation are not just periods of time, but stages of divine manifestation. Each day is viewed as a revelation of God's creative power and purpose. The earth, the seas, the sky, the sun, the moon, and all creatures are seen as reflections of God's glory, revealing His presence in every corner of creation. This cosmic perspective is deeply rooted in Ethiopian spirituality, where nature and the divine are often seen as intertwined, and where every aspect of the natural world is imbued with sacred meaning. One of the most striking aspects of the Ethiopian interpretation of Genesis is its emphasis on the concept of Adama, or the earth. While the Western world often interprets the story of Adam and Eve as focusing on the creation of human beings in a separate and distinct act, Ethiopian tradition sees the creation of Adam as a sacred bond between humanity and the earth itself. Adam, according to Ethiopian thought, is not just a human being. He is a child of the earth, shaped from the very soil of the land. This view underscores the deep connection that Ethiopians feel with their land, which they consider to be not just a place of physical existence, but a sacred space where the divine and human realms meet. The creation of Eve, too, holds a special place in Ethiopian thought. In many traditions, the story of Eve's creation from Adam's rib has been interpreted as symbolizing the secondary or subordinate status of women. However, Ethiopian interpretations offer a more egalitarian view. In Ethiopian Christianity, Eve is seen not as an afterthought or a mere companion to Adam, but as a partner in the divine act of creation. She is viewed as equally part of God's plan, and her creation is seen as a necessary complement to Adam's existence. This egalitarian view of Eve's role speaks to a broader theme in Ethiopian theology, the belief in the inherent dignity and worth of every individual, regardless of gender or status. Moreover, the Ethiopian understanding of creation is also deeply informed by the idea of divine grace. In the Genesis story, after creating the world, God rests on the seventh day. For Ethiopians, this rest is not a sign of exhaustion, but a moment of divine contemplation and blessing. The seventh day is seen as a day of completion, a day of perfection, where God's creation is acknowledged as good and whole. This concept of divine rest is also connected to the Ethiopian practice of Sabbath observance, where the Sabbath is viewed as a day not just for physical rest, but for spiritual renewal and communion with the divine. In Ethiopian Christianity, the story of Genesis serves as a framework for understanding the world's creation and humanity's place within it. However, it also acts as a call to live in harmony with God's creation, to honor the earth, and to embrace a life of spiritual integrity and righteousness. This is not just a theological understanding. It is a way of life that permeates every aspect of Ethiopian culture, from their agricultural practices to their religious rituals and their relationship with the land. The Ethiopian worldview is one where creation is seen as sacred, and where humanity's role is to nurture, protect, and honor the divine gift of life.